Aaron Binder as well, and Paul Espargaro and Miguel Oliveira, every other ride at the moment has started.
Left, it was on the left, and that you imagine is already up to temperature, you know, with so.
Yeah, I mean, even though there was almost 33 degrees of ground temperature this morning, it just shows you're in FP2 by Aleix Espargaro.
With that new fairing on, see the lower fairing sticks out, apparently.
Yeah,
I think he said fast as well, the fast ones. I imagine the air, you know, whatever it's...
Chassis updates, swing arm updates, you've spotted so many updates, and they're at the top of the championship.
Not always, but usually, you know, you're trying something, it's not working, so they must be trying a little
grip as we ride on board then with Aleix Espargaro. The lap time's already hotting up here in the hotter conditions.
Second here last year, a really strong second too. Yeah, he obviously goes well at this.
Of course, we are not here with the man who's dominated so many times at the Saxford. What will be a long rehabilitation after further surgery on that right humerus bone.
Generating good, you know, mechanical grip. I think there's something Aprilia have obviously done an amazing job at making that engine up, and then you lose the whole exit. So I think it's really important to...
Stops. It doesn't really seem to have an obvious weak point at the moment, does it? The complete package on the MotoGP grid. Who would have thought we'd be saying that just a few weeks ago? It's a big ask because this guy doesn't tend to make mistakes in the key place, so it can be done, but it's going to be difficult when this guy's so hot.
The thing, Silverstone, when we come back after the break, is famous for being one of those, it's flowing, it's got no slow turns leading onto long straights, no crazy hard braking. Places like Phillip Island and Silverstone are where, you know, things like that where the Ducati should be really strong in it. It's Fabio at all. I love what he's doing, you know. I'm just saying, like I said before, you know, because all it takes is what happened last weekend. Imagine if it was Fabio getting
down, including Andrea Dovizioso, Alex Rins and Paul Espargaro twice. Bastianini there. He won there last year and he won the British Grand Prix at Silverstone as well, so it's his opposite momentum with the confidence, which clearly he's got right now. He said winning margin for a Yamaha in a dry race in over 6 years. Toy Lorenzo won Le Mans.
As Livio said, one where the wings themselves were different and one where the wings are exactly the same, but the Suzuki's 2022.
Top man Jack, great spot, yeah, Livio. So they're obviously working and bringing components to try and help him in that area, which has been so problematic.
Track is mostly about front end feel. You know, you have to be... Things I've noticed about Suzuki, and like I believe listening to all the demons, no problem. And Joan Mir on the same bike has struggled, and right forward, you know, he rides on the front of the bike. Joan holds himself back. He's got this, it's now set 2 options, one on each bike, but with the steering head a lot, etc. They've changed the weight of the Suzuki, the weight distribution, and but he sits back and he's the one struggling more. So that's my take on
in this session. He's got down to a 1:21.399 as Alex Rins just runs in his upper body. The left hand side of his body can take this kind of punishment. As we mentioned, corners, 3 of them left hand, 300 of them left-handers, and when you've got 2 painful, there's nothing to gain here. Let's park it and let's go to Assen, where we know that whether common sense might just prevail and think, do you know what, let's just rest up and get us.
It's part of one of the traits you need to have, you know, to be a racer, and step in and go like, that's enough, you know, buddy, park it and give yourself a...
Landings. A 1:22.332 is his best work of this second session here.
Just before I waffle on about Stefan Bradl's bike setup.
Quite an interesting story, Herb. I'd love to get your explanation, because he was brought in at the start of the year to great...
Well, this is a question you should ask to Pete Byler, and unfortunately he's not here because he's been test operation to try to understand more about the feedback from the four-rider process inside KTM, to have the people moving around, you know, and I think this is hopefully for the better. You know, we've been using the 4 riders, and I think you know, testing each of them different. People are not really rookie anymore. You know, they've got already 9 rounds under their belt from day one in that project. He's also helping, I think, everybody to grow. So the people from one place to another, just to understand a bit more what is happening.
Remy also said yesterday that right at the end of the test, they tried something simple but replicated here as well.
Yes, you know, but sometimes, you know, this is not a Grand Prix, because, you know, you got each session is an important session. You don't have enough time to play. And a normal Grand Prix weekend, this is helping to understand many things. So yes, but now we've got the two, and maybe the version 1 is really different from each other.
Thank you for your time, Hervé. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, his COVID-19 diagnosis. Hopefully I'll see you back in action soon. Best 11th in Barcelona.
Watching from the outside, it looks like Remy is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. He looks well soon, I know the feeling. That's why I wasn't in Barcelona. And hey, something interesting, this crew chief, Giovanni, just remember his surname, Giovanni Mattarolo, he guys that were in the car with him were telling me he just turned white, and then in the end couldn't. He had to, I tell you what, this track is so difficult to stay out of at this track every single year. So anyway, he had apparently, he said he had a little bit of a cold beginning of the weekend, and then wham, this thing apparently Barcelona, his Giovanni Mattarolo, the crew chief, was on, it sounds like a throttle body off in Italian or something, doesn't it? Pretty cool. Venturato. Anyway, you know, a performance engineer is, I've got a friend in the paddock who's won once and watches what's going on in the garage on the computer, what you know, overlooking the data engineer does set to simplify it. Basically, it sits back a little bit, watches all the data, it's over here. Or, for example, setup, what parts do what, you know. When
Finally, well, in his recovery, also remote crew chiefing this weekend is Alberto Giroviola. Unfortunately, he's been 0-2-5, the Suzuki man. Amazing. I'm not quite sure how on earth he's going to play. Quattro gets a little bit hot into the first corner. I think he was ending that particular run.
Yes, and I think that answers our question, is Alex going to ride this weekend? Because if you're going that way...
There on the screen on the left-hand side, Alex Rins just entering pit lane. Jack Miller then, fastened of this session. Simon, Jack and KTM a good fit next year, do you think?
Well, it's Jack is a battler, you know, much like Brad Binder, you know. As was saying, Francesco was saying in the interview this morning that he's going to turn up and give 100%. Jack before, you know, the Pramac days, he was the team manager, so I think the fit...
There's going to be some laughs down in KTM next year with Jack Miller and Brad Binder together. Really good guys off it, as well as Aleix Espargaro comes in. It's still advantage the Spanish rider then on the factory. He'll never live this one down, will he? Regrettably, because celebrating one lap too early when he had a 9-point side. We didn't, unfortunately, as you missed Barcelona with your illness, we didn't get yours in the final reckoning. Those 9 points could be huge for the championship.
Especially if the way I look at it is from a rider's point of view. Well, firstly, that's something you did wrong. It is really painful and hard for you to forgive, you know, and be fast, you know. He was going to get second than it is to ride
Nini at the bottom of the hill. He won't be improving, but 5 of those all new Ducatis for the...
Oh, they obviously haven't stopped working, you know. They're developing and trying new parts, which look to me like they're trying to work out that front device as well.
He was pretty confident he might have had something for Quattararo. Head of Nakagami, a stellar job by the Japanese man as well. He's certainly not 100% after the big Bezzecchi. Oliveira 17th, the man who was second here last year ahead of Marquez, proving that second session. And with Raul Fernandez after his first point scoring finish last time by the end of that third run, and then when he went over to Michelin's soft rear tyre, the day we get to see maybe a 1:19 here in Germany. Great job, Yaya. Been a good day for Jack Miller then. He topped FP1 this morning and he's back to Aleix Espargaro, the only non-Ducati inside the top 6 at the end of play, on 100th clear of his teammate Miller, with Vinales third on the factory Aprilia. Gain in sector 4 by 4,000ths of a second from Aleix Espargaro and Martin Miller. The ideal lap was a 1:19. Will we get one of those tomorrow?
Nah, langsung terbuka di aplikasi Lexis Audio Editor. Nah, di aplikasi ini kita harus mengedit sedikit, terutama reverb, dengan cara klik titik 3 di pojok kanan atas, kemudian pilih efek, scroll ke bawah, dan pilih reverb. Nah, di sini kita atur aja sesuai selera, tapi biasa settingan saya seperti ini. Di ROM size-nya itu saya pakai 104 aja. Kemudian di early reflection level itu saya biasa pakai yang 8. Kemudian reverb time 15, input bandwidth 15%. Kemudian kita pilih apply. Kita tunggu saja sampai selesai. Oke. Ini sudah selesai. Kemudian yang kedua itu kita pilih effect equalizer. Nah, di sini penting teman-teman untuk mengatur tingkat bassnya, tingkat treble-nya, itu kita bisa atur semua di sini. Settingan saya biasa seperti ini, teman-teman. Kemudian kita klik apply. Kita tunggu saja sampai selesai. Nah, setelah selesai ini, kita perhatikan di sini diagram nadanya ini. Kalau diagramnya mentok ke atas, itu volumenya terlalu besar, teman-teman. Suaranya terlalu besar. Jadi nanti akan terdengar terlalu pecah, begitu teman-teman. Jadi kita harus kecilkan sedikit dengan cara klik titik 3 pojok kanan atas lagi, kemudian pilih effect, kemudian pilih noise reduction. Nah, settingan noise-nya seperti ini saja, teman-teman. Silahkan di pause dulu videonya, kemudian klik apply. Nah sekarang kita lihat perbedaannya. Nada musiknya itu sudah tidak mentok lagi di atas kan. Nah, ini sudah bagus, teman-teman. Kemudian kita klik save. Kita save langsung. Kita ingat ya, folder tempat kita menyimpan file ini itu ada di mana. Kita bisa lihat di pojok kiri atas ini. Kemudian kita pilih namanya, misalnya musik 1. Selesai. Kemudian kita save. Nah, cukup begitu saja, teman-teman, untuk mengedit audio di video saya. Terserah teman-teman mau ikutin atau tidak. Yang penting saya sudah membagikan bagaimana cara saya dalam mengedit audio di video cover di channel saya, teman-teman. Oke, sekian dulu tutorialnya. Terima kasih yang sudah menyimak.